So, welcome to MiniFridge. I'm Andrea Radek.
And I'm Kristen Plesko.
And today we're going to look at something from Eric Strother. I don't think we've looked at his stuff before. He says, our podcast is a guilty pleasure of his. This was created back in high school for graphic communications class. The prompt was to illustrate the Jabberwocky from Lewis Carroll's poetry. I present you these images for criticism. And he sent us about three works in progress, or 2 works in progress, one final of like a Jabberwocky, and then he sent us this one, Jabberwocky the movie. And both
if
Kristen...
only he knew about Alice in Wonderland.
I'm pretty sure he did. Kristen had her background, or her studied background is graphic design.
It is.
I learned some graphic design for work because I wanted a full-time job.
I was cold, unfeeling, and loved type.
So we are going to look upon this not just as an illustration thing, but also as a graphic design thing.
Yeah.
So
you shall be punished.
You shall be thusly punished. Yep. So this is pretty small.
Also, my eyes are very blurry. I really need to go to the doctor because this is super blurry. I thought it said the Jabber World.
Yeah, we thought this was Jabber World.
So I will already say that typeface is not great. Like it is, and it might be just hand drawn, but sometimes there are. It looks like it's like black letter, but it also has that weird curve to it, and that's just not a good idea. Also the is just kind of floating out there.
Kristen is very concerned with kerning. Can you see possibly
I see
Jabberwocky.
Jabberwocky.
Big space between the A and the B.
Jabberwocky. And then Wocky. Like I couldn't tell that was a Y because the tree, like basically it looks like the text is outlined.
It does look like Jabber, W-O-R.
First, the text is outlined. No matter how nice it was, you're wrong. Don't ever outline text like that. If you can't have a solid color of text, it's probably not good. If you have to have an outline to it, just rethink the design. Because it should either be like a brighter color, or it should stand out from the background in some way. You don't need an outline.
You want to establish a dominance to your design.
To your hierarchy.
So, like, the red that you've chosen in here and the green are the same sort of contrast.
Yeah.
Like, they're obviously different colors, but they're not brighter or darker than one another. They're pretty much the same.
It's like, it kind of is like Christmassy. Like,
it's
really weird. Like, it's not...
That's sort of what I thought the font one was, very Christmassy.
Yeah, and it's just, like, I understand, like, this is probably hand-drawn because you can't usually find type that's curved in that way, but there's usually a good reason for it. It's incredibly hard to read. Like...
I can tell you the font is hand-drawn because look at if this is the same B, there's variances. So, like, the bottom is different on these Bs, the tops are slightly different, so it's definitely hand-drawn.
Yeah, but there is a reason why you usually can't curve things that way.
Because designing
it's
fonts
good.
is difficult. And very time-consuming. And...
Well, it's just, even beyond the design of the font, just the...
But I'm just saying, like, they spend a lot of time, perfecting that sort of stuff,
Yeah, basically like a J and an A will fit together differently than like an A and a Y.
So if you guys don't know what kerning is, it's the distance between letters, right?
Yeah, it's basically...
So, like, how you look at the Jabberwocky part, and it looks like it's J-A, and it looks like, if you're super picky, it would be a space between there that you wouldn't know, so that's like poor kerning. There's also a bit more space... Sort of like the E is sort of isolated a little.
If I remember right, tracking and kerning are basically the same thing, but they're slightly different definitions. I think kerning is when you look at 3 letters at a time. That's basically how I've always kerned. And tracking, I think, is the actual distance between the letters. The easiest way to kern is basically to look at the 3 letters at a time. So J-A-B, A-B-B, B-B-E, and that's just how you do it. And basically, if you can do 3 letters at a time and make them look good... then most likely the entire word will look good. Yeah. So obviously, like J-A-B and like B-E-R are completely different. Like,
B-A-B, B-E-B.
The jab and the burr.
B-A Jabberwocky.
Yeah. And also, it's just kind of... I think it still looks like Jabber World to me.
Yeah, it does look like... Well, where do you get the...
I don't know. I just see the W-O, and then I just don't really know what's happening, so I just make up things.
It looks like cry. Like the last
Jagger
one.
walk cry.
Warcry.
Jabber may cry.
Jabber may cry. So that's the top part. How do you feel it fits into the... I don't think it sticks out enough to be...
There's no point to it. It's just, it seems like an afterthought. Like, I understand that there's a curve with the trees, and that's, of course, why you would, there's a way to do it. And obviously, there's a way to do a curve correctly, but it's, it's really difficult to explain. Like, I just, there's not enough room on top, so there's no really place you can rest your eyes.
It's
no
pushed in between the trees and the top of the thing, so it looks like an afterthought. That's what it looks like, an afterthought. If you want to do this correctly, you'd probably stretch it out a bit more, have more space where,
stretch out the canvas, not the text.
Yes, the canvas, sorry.
Yeah.
Stretch out the canvas a bit more, or not stretch it, but just add onto the top of the canvas, and then have that thing fit in its own space, instead of just being crammed in the top.
Yeah, the Jabberwocky, I guess, picture is important, but so is the type treatment. You have to be really careful, but that probably takes, as much planning, if not, usually when you're painting and stuff, you would do that first. Also, the bottom.
The executive producer is Fox McCloud, and Jesse James, and Bill Clinton, who's Carol pronounced Joe Montana and George Lucas. You misspelled Clooney, you put it with a U. He has 2 O's in George Clooney.
Oh, really?
Darren Aronofsky is a...
George Clooney.
Hill Burner, Jeff Green, Lawrence Ludwix. These are all actors. Alex Hamilton, the Jabberwocky, Matthew Green, Ben Dunn. Leslie Nielsen. All right, I know Leslie Nielsen. I don't know. John Williams is a... The guy that does the music for...
Music guy.
It's the Star Wars.
It's Star Wars, I think The Sixth Sense.
Tom Morrison, Jack Stock, I don't know those people. Leif Erikson.
Yep. Isn't that the guy that went to America? Leif Erikson?
Part of Canada, I thought.
Yeah. Why? Is that the joke?
Yeah, it's just a bunch of famous names.
Oh, okay.
That's
there you go. And that's fine. It's fine
so
having
Joe Montana in there as a famous football guy.
Okay, well, it makes sense. Like, I mean, honestly, having Lorem Ipsum there is fine. Just having some random text. I mean,
I think it's all crammed together.
Oh, well, honestly, the picture in the background does not help. Like, it basically, the stuff is added on as an afterthought.
Yeah.
It was not designed with type in mind at all. Yeah. And, or with printing, because honestly, the Jabberwocky is way too close to the edge. Like, if you were printing this on a poster, you have to be very careful.
It also has a perfect strip right here where nothing goes in there, right on the side, and that's also a
and
no-no.
if that ever gets cropped a little bit, it's going to be really infuriating.
It's already infuriating.
Yeah, so just and infuriating from a design sense, just like not like normal people probably would just be like, oh, that's not a very successful poster in terms of design and stuff. They won't like posters are supposed. People won't know why they might not necessarily like the poster, and I'm not saying just because of the art, but the design is super important. Yeah, and I would say probably just as important as the art itself is to be a good... And I understand this is a beginning class, and of course, learning how to do that stuff is a pain in the ass. Yeah. So, I enjoyed it.
So let's talk about the illustration now.
It has the same colors as a Super Nintendo game.
What?
Like the colors are just very limited.
This looks like this is done in Illustrator. In fact, I can almost guarantee it was done in Illustrator.
Yeah. Well, just like the green of the trees is not very pleasant, especially with the blue of the Jabberwocky and the gray of the sky. It's just not. Yeah. It's not very pleasing.
I just keep looking at this arm here.
Oh God.
Yeah. Oh. So the middle nail is coming from the side because the shadow is coming straight from the side, and then the hand is sort of up, but compared to this other one that it has a forearm, this doesn't have a forearm, so it's just straight into an elbowish area. But then also, the shading that you have here is the same color, so it looks like the arm goes straight into the tail as well.
Or kind of does look like it has a super muscular tail.
Yeah.
Then it just has a claw kind of stuck on there, bam.
Yeah, and then this all sort of comes up in a very weird way. The scales go off the body a little bit over there.
And from a color standpoint, remember that you don't always have to have natural colors. You can do, especially since this is a poster, look at not necessarily modern movie posters, but things from the posters from like the 20s and stuff, they have really good color design. You could have literally made all of it like yellow and purple, and that's it. And you could have color designed it in a certain way to fit a certain aesthetic. Like only the eye is glowing a certain way, or everything is gray except for like the mouth or the eye or something in certain parts. Like you can make it pop. Like even as the art as it is, I think if it had a stronger color palette, it would have been more enjoyable as a poster.
Yeah, I agree.
So
I think that is a lot of what's sort of turning me off from this, is that like the bright pink mouth, the sort of middle tone blue, and it's just a lot of just reminds me of jarring in between. I just keep looking at this area underneath his leg, which looks
his
like
ambiguous cellulite body.
Well, it just looks like a pimpled like ball sack area that's like really lit up. It's right between his legs, okay, and
super soft. You want to touch it?
No, and so it looks like you sort of got around to this neck area, and then you just had no idea what the hell you were doing from here to here, so you just put some shapes in.
Yeah, you know what it kind of reminds me of? It reminds me of Atma Weapon from Final Fantasy VI, and I know you've never played Final Fantasy VI, Andrea, but if you look it up, it literally looks just like that kind of body type.
I just keep looking at this nostril, this far nostril over here.
I do kind of like how
just
the eye
poking
is.
out of his, just poking.
Oh
out.
God, that's a nostril.
Yeah.
Oh jeez.
I do like his eye. I
the eye is really actually kind of
nice. But
nice.
like this mouth is sort of coming down, and the edge is not really lining up with that, and then it just has a nostril just doop.
Yeah, it kind of looks like he has a moray eel face, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that, but just really the color design. God, and the title, just you can't focus on it. There's no way to focus on it. You need just more sky. There can't be a lot of stuff around it. It can't compete.
I think also just this grass takes a lot away.
You know what? It reminds me of that's why I said it reminds me of like a Nintendo game, like like Oregon Trail or something. It has that kind. It's that kind of color of like a really old video game that you're like going to point and click to shoot things.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, the things to focus if you're making a poster really should be probably the design and color choices, because first and foremost, it has to catch attention. Yes. You have to let people know what it is. And right now, it's not doing its job as a poster. Like, the beast, it seems like the poster is just a picture of a beast, but then some text is added on top. That's not really a poster. So, and also another cool thing to do, if you ever do mock up a poster again, is actually mock it up in pictures. Like, actually mock it up in perspective. Like, have a bunch of movie posters and stuff, along the, like take a picture of in a movie theater how they have all those posters, and literally Photoshop yours right onto it and see how it looks.
Oh, okay. I had no idea.
On a billboard or something, like something that will give you, or like on the side of a building, like pretend like it's one of those,
so
like
you can
an art
understand
house.
what it looks like.
Yeah. So what does this look like? Yeah.
Yeah.
How does this look? How does this compete with other things it has to compete with? Like it might be, sometimes it's good to look different, but also color choice and design. If I looked at that, I would instantly look away. Not because, it's mostly because of the color choice. It just doesn't catch my eye. I'm looking basically in the top third, and I can't focus. I just can't focus on it at all, and then my eyes would just wander off.
Like, I will say that my eyes do tend to go to the eye of the monster, and then to the mouth, and then sort of around the body. Like, it'll sort of go, like, down, then it sort of goes along the arm, and then sort of towards the person, I guess. So in that way,
I can barely even see the person. And honestly, I'm in a good spot because my eyes are very blurry right now. So you know how you're supposed to like kind of squint your eyes to kind of... Yeah. Like the mouth and the eye are probably the easiest to look at. And it looks like the mouth is closer than the guy, which is weird. And this is also another time when color choice can come into play, because if you chose like yellow and purple or something...
if you're able to distinguish the people, is what you're saying.
Yeah, like if like the guy was all in shadow or something, and then the monster was all like another color or something, it'd be very easy to tell what was happening. There's a lot of depth to that. There's no depth to this.
It essentially looks like if this was a graphic design project that you didn't really think too much on the graphic design, and then you did an illustration that you wanted to do, and then added graphic design stuff on top of it, which is literally exactly what I did in college. Because I fucking hated my Illustrator class like nobody's business, but...
Yeah, the nice thing about Illustrator is you could literally choose all those colors in the select thing and just literally change all of them, which is cool. So if you're like, oh man, like I really would like
now. I don't think then though.
Yeah, you could. When was this done? Like, because I think they've I think this has been able to be done since like CS2 or CC or CS.
This is 2008 he did this.
Oh yeah, he would have been fine. You can do that. That's when I went to college. So
Jabberwocky was plaid.
Yeah, select and then select color or same color.
I think it's mostly just that your person doesn't stand out. He has the same sort of like beige in between tones. Also, his leather is the same color as his skin, and that's kind of weirding me out. Like he has a big stretched like.
Yeah, and again, you don't have to have realistic colors. You really don't. Yeah. You don't have to stick to, this is what Roman armor looked like. You can literally do anything. It could be like damn.
I think also like under this paw here. It's like the depth where there's shadow on this claw is very small, and then it's huge on this one, and then there's nothing on this far one. So, like...
Yeah, I mean, like...
I think definitely establishing a hierarchy would have served you quite a bit better. And especially when you have stuff in perspective like this, where you're using a very flat thing like Illustrator, that it's not going to really allow you too much wiggle room on, shading something nicely.
Yeah, well, it's not a painting tool.
Right.
It's good for posters, it's good for really simple things, and honestly, that's fine. You can do some really complex, beautiful things in it, but you just have to realize what your limitations are.
Yeah.
Like, Photoshop has limitations, too, but, Illustrator's a great tool.
If you're a graphic designer.
It's a great tool
and sometimes if you're an illustrator.
Honestly, it's really good if you're doing, like stamps and stuff. Like, if you wanted to do, like, woodcut things, or things for, basically, screen printing. Illustrator is excellent even if you draw, because you can literally tweak. You can make it like a solid thing and then tweak it. So you can have a vector that you can blow up to put on a t-shirt. So it's really super useful, like especially if you do pen and ink drawings.
Yeah.
Illustrator is great if you do pen and ink.
Like real traditional pen and ink?
I've
always found that it doesn't actually... I know you're talking about Live Trace, right?
Yeah, because
I've never found that actually to work
You
properly.
adjust it later. You have to manually adjust it a little bit.
I understand, but like anytime I've done that, and that used to be how I would transfer line art into there, it gave me a really sort of shorthanded version that lost all the individuality and
You also, if you do it and the actual canvas size in Illustrator is too small, it won't do it. And also, if you don't have enough processing power, it might not do it correctly either.
Yeah, I've frozen a number of computers trying to live tweet something.
I found that the best way to do it was for me personally, like I always did like woodcut things, and those thick, chunky lines seemed to do really well. Or if it was very easy to see a difference between white and black, it would do perfectly. And sometimes you could do color, but I never really played around with that. And I'm not a super big fan of Illustrator, but it does have its uses. So at the very least, if you ever wanted to explore different colors, Illustrator is a really great way to do that, especially if you took the time to basically put an illustration in there. I mean, that's fucking hard. So you did put a lot of effort into, the drawing and stuff, and we do know that because Illustrator's a pain.
I like how the armor is done on here, honestly.
The armor on the head?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the head of the monster is...
Like the design is interesting. Yeah. I think it does have potential. It just, it's one of those things, though, that... it just needs some refining, and design always has to be higher on your list than you think it is. I would say it's probably number one before you even start drawing.
And I understand that this is an assignment back from 2008, but...
Oh, yeah, but,
no excuses.
Yeah, no excuses, go back in time.
Yeah.
Screw you, man. Go back in time. Fix it.
Exactly.
But yeah, so... Yeah, no, if y'all have any, like, design-related things, I'd be happy to... I mean, Andrea really likes cars. And I really like type.
Andrea did design things because it was required of her, and she does not have a passion for it.
Yeah, I have a gross passion for it.
A lot of the times it's overly picky, and it used to sort of nag on me in that way. Like, I understand it has its place, and it's very useful and very good. No, just...
Oh, just design in general?
Yeah, just design in general. I understand it's good and
you have a lot
necessary.
Of control, but it's like... Some people don't want... It's like the difference between having like a Windows computer and you can do everything with it, and then like an Apple computer that just kind of does its thing. So like...
I don't really know what you're talking about.
I don't know either, actually. I lost my train of thought midway through, and just go on, Andrea. Just go on.
I think it's... I think it's mostly... It's sort of like playing a game with too many rules. And you're just... Like, when it gets to the point where it's like, is that kerning exactly right? Did you do this, and this? And I'm like, oh, it looks nice. It does look nice, but if you transfer it over to InDesign, it's not going to. And it's like... Like, I think that part is what got to me.
They probably didn't teach you right, also. Like,
I didn't go to school for design.
Well, they should still have a good base design class, but...
If you want to talk, like, the 2 beginners drawing classes that had some graphic design in it, as the graphic design I did.
It should be really, really important.
I went for illustrating.
Yeah, but you have to, like, have shows and stuff and be able to do all that stuff.
Yeah,
like,
and you just put your goddamn picture in a portfolio for your show.
I always hated how they made... Well, I guess so. I mean, I don't know. I really liked it because even if I never ended up being good at illustration, like, I could still have a skill that I enjoyed. Like, yeah. I personally, like, if I was not painting right now, I would want to work in a print shop. I just would. I like books. I like putting words to paper. I like paragraphs. I don't like widows and orphans, but I do like paragraphs. So.
Yeah, that was the thing, like, when I was formatting. Widows and orphans are when you have a paragraph of text, and then you have just, like, one word.
Yeah, one thing at the top, or at the very end of a paragraph.
Yeah.
Like, it's annoying, and you have to fix it manually.
So, like, when I was formatting my book together, the first book, I went through there and I showed some of my design friends at work, and they're like, "Oh, we've got a lot of widows and orphans in here." And they're like, "Oh."
That's always what we talk about.
Oh, yeah.
We always talk about kerning widows and orphans, and also, like, the white space and, like, the gray of the paragraph. You know, it has to have a nice gray to it. If it doesn't, then fuck that font. And then we want to buy fonts that cost $50 or more.
I don't have anything else for this.
Okay. Well, I think we honestly...
I'm tired.
Oh, okay. Well, we gave, I think, good advice.
Yeah.
Or, like, design is something that's, like, different but related skill. So, and that's something, if you have, like, design stuff, too, I wouldn't mind seeing that, like, design stuff to critique, especially if it has art stuff involved.
Yeah, we wouldn't mind those types of submissions and stuff.
Like a pretend poster, or a book, or a postcard, or even a business card with your art on it. Like, that stuff is really important to get right.
Yeah.
And that is super important, and design is your way to get people to notice your art.
Yeah.
Give us 1995 every it sounds like an infomercial when I say it like that. Like, you know, wow. Like,
I'm watching the volume things and stuff, so, like, this is where I'm talking, and this is you talking normally before, and this is where I start talking, and it's just like, wow! And then it just goes back down to, like, nothing. Like my grandmother who talks over, like, if 2 people are talking, and then one has to just keep getting louder than the other one, and yeah.
Oh, that's how my family talks like that, too. It's not, I don't mean any offense in anything. I do it to everyone, and honestly, a lot of people just do it back. I think it's just it's unconscious.
Subconscious.
Yeah, there you go. Sorry, I'm actually just in a coma as I talk.
Like,
I also can't modulate my voice very well.
I think people do that, but I think it is considered rude in proper conversation.
I ain't proper. I don't watch Downton Abbey.
Downtown Abbey?
Isn't it Downton Abbey?
Yeah. You said Down Abbey.
I said Downton Abbey. You
didn't just put the ton in
Downton
there.
Abbey?
Yeah, you just sounded like
it was
down.
a silent Downton Abbey. Upton Abbey.
It sounds like you're, like,
Sideways
doubting.
Abbey.
Like doubting. Doubting Abbey.
I don't know what the word is. They do a lot of proper things, and that is not like my life at all. There you go. Okay. Also, I don't know anything about Doctor Who, but I think that's also proper and possibly has time travel. And they use phones.
Okay, so this has been MiniFridge. If you want your stuff critiqued, we're Fridgeartpodcast@gmail.com. I've been Andrew Radek.
And I'm still Kristen Plesko.
Okay. And we will see you guys later.